Join us as we travel back in time to revisit these 10 old restaurants that we miss from the past. Ready? Let's begin with this popular restaurant, Arthur Treacher's Fish and Chips. This was the best fish and chips ever. Sorry, England. Growing up in America in the early 70s, this was a favorite for many. This restaurant was a fast food seafood chain that used to have many locations. It was started in 1969. In the late 1970s, they had 826 stores around the country, and it was very popular, especially on Fridays during Lent, when the fish and chips meal was a big hit. And the Hush Puppies? Who else loved them? They were the best. I really miss them, and the malt vinegar was wonderful too. Arthur Treacher was quite an interesting guy. He was an entertainer known for appearing in the movie Mary Poppins and being the announcer on the early Merv Griffin shows, a very popular talk show back then. It seems like all these restaurant chains have the same story. A big company buys them, the quality goes down, customers stop coming, and the chain goes out of business. Now, the only Arthur Treacher's restaurant still open is in Ohio, and it's been there for over 50 years. Let's not forget about the iconic yellow and green lantern outside. People drive by, look up, and instantly know what restaurant it is. They used to have lines of people snaking around the building waiting for their food. This was a very common scene back in the day. This definitely brings back delicious memories for many people from their childhood. It's a meal you just can't make at home.
We want you to come to Bonanza.
The ever-famous all-you-can-eat Bonanza Steakhouse. A piece of American culture that has sadly gone forever. Who had their first job here? This restaurant brings back very fond memories of going out with family, right? Did you know that Hoss Cartwright came up with Bonanza? Eric Hoss Cartwright was a popular character on the TV show Bonanza, played by Dan Blocker. Anyone who was around in the 60s likely saw at least one episode of this beloved show. In 1963, Dan decided to capitalize on the show's popularity by opening a Western-style steakhouse with the same name. Bonanza offered home-style dishes like steak, chicken, fish, and, of course, a fully stocked salad bar and a wide variety of side dishes and desserts. Can you still remember the salad bar and the great smell of their grill? The prices were reasonable, making it an affordable place to feed the kids, and the food was always fresh and delicious. The restaurant had a country vibe and was incredibly popular back in the day. It was a great place for moms to take a break from cooking. In 1989, Bonanza had over 600 restaurants across the U.S. Around 1965, Dan Lasseter and others also began Ponderosa Steakhouse. Later, both were bought by another company. Unfortunately, they faced difficulties and declared bankruptcy in 2008. Today, there are only a few locations left in the U.S., most of them operating under the Ponderosa name. Well, the legacy of the Bonanza Steakhouse chain will always hold a significant place in America's history. Share your experiences in the comments below. Who loved those hamburgers? This restaurant was the place where many people hung out for hours on weekends, meeting friends. Burger Chef was an American fast food chain that started in 1954 in Indianapolis, Indiana, and expanded across the United States. At its peak in 1973, it had 1,050 locations, including some in Canada. They had an old-school theme with light globe and were beloved because they had a works bar where you could customize your burger just the way you liked it. The chain featured several signature items like the Big Chef and Super Chef hamburgers. Do you remember? They came up with the idea of a kid's meal, combining a burger with dessert and a toy. In 1978, the chain introduced Star Wars toys. Eating out in the 1970s and 1980s was such a treat. The last Burger Chef franchise, located in Tennessee, closed in 1996, leaving us with nostalgic memories of a past when life was simpler, and we enjoyed the little things. The Ground Round was considered a pioneer of the family restaurant and sports bar concepts. It was known for having TVs everywhere showing cartoons like Woody Woodpecker and Betty Boop, and an endless supply of peanuts that patrons were encouraged to throw the shells onto the floor. The floor was always covered in peanut shells and sawdust, something you couldn't do at home without getting grounded. As a kid, going there was a big event, always filled with children having fun. Started in 1969 by Howard Johnson, this restaurant brought back great memories, popcorn and peanuts, before eating a delicious hamburger and French fries, tossing the peanut shells on the floor, watching cartoons, and getting ice cream in little plastic baseball helmets. The birthday parties were a hit, starring the mascot, Bingo the Clown. It was a great place where kids could even pay their weight for their food, and you could get a great cut of beef for an affordable price. Many Ground Round locations have closed or changed ownership, but some franchises are still open in other parts of the country, now catering more to adults. I don't have a lot of time, or I don't want to spend a lot of money. If you heard that, you knew where to go in the past. Sizzler. This restaurant was the go-to spot in the 80s for many families. The chain was founded in 1958 as Sizzler Family Steakhouse in Culver City, California. At its peak, Sizzler had over 270 locations across the U.S., known for affordable steaks, all-you-can-eat fried shrimp, and a beloved salad and soup bar. Sizzler was a favorite. The bread and Malibu chicken were wonderful too, and the best part, the ice cream machine with assorted toppings was a kid's paradise. Sizzler filed for bankruptcy in 1996, closing about 75% of their locations. They've since returned to their roots, moving away from the buffet model and focusing on providing reasonably priced steak dinners. They're still around, just fewer in number and a bit different. Do you have a Sizzler memory? Oh, that cheese bread. And how about the baked potato? And if you enjoy content like this, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Ponderosa Steakhouse was, in many ways, the perfect family restaurant. The meals were affordable, the buffet offered a wide variety, and all you can eat always drew hungry crowds. The TV show Bonanza inspired not only Dan Blocker to start the Bonanza Steakhouse chain, but also three men to establish Ponderosa Steakhouse in 1965, naming it after the Ponderosa Ranch from the show. At its peak in the early 1990s, there were over 700 Ponderosa locations. After years of rivalry, the two chains merged under the Metro Media Company. Today, Ponderosa still operates a few locations in the U.S., although many others have either closed or been converted into Red Lobster restaurants. Their menu features steaks, seafood, and chicken dishes, all served with access to the buffet. Let's not forget the free refills on soft drinks. Back then, you could take your date to a movie in Ponderosa and still have money left over. Those were the days. It was a popular spot for both locals and vacationers to stop for a meal and enjoy the famous Howard Johnson's fried clam strips. The chain was founded by Howard Deering Johnson in 1925. In the 1950s, the company expanded by opening hotels known as Howard Johnson's Motor Lodges, often located next to the restaurants. Throughout the 1960s and 1970s, it was the largest restaurant chain in the U.S., with over 1,000 company-owned and franchise locations. Fans would easily recognize Howard Johnson's restaurants by their distinctive orange roofs and blue spires. In the 1950s, family outings and vacations often included a stop at the restaurant for ice cream or a meal, with 28 ice cream flavors to choose from. Imagine 28 flavors. That made it popular with kids. One of its notable menu offerings was its Frankfurters, which were dipped in butter and served on double-buttered New England-style buns. It was famous. The restaurant even made an appearance in an episode of Mad Men. Even Don Draper was spotted dining there. Despite its early success, the rise of fast food chains like McDonald's, which catered to the baby boomer generation, led to a decline in traditional sit-down restaurants like Howard Johnson's. Nevertheless, this restaurant left countless happy memories across America. When the Hungries hit the Red Barn. Established in 1961 in Springfield, Ohio, the Red Barn restaurant chain quickly became a favorite among burger lovers as America embraced fast food culture in the 1960s. At its peak, Red Barn boasted 400 restaurants across 19 states. Renowned for its signature hamburgers like Big Barney and the Barn Buster, Red Barn also offered fried chicken, fish sandwiches, and a pioneering salad bar. Customers would place their orders at the counter inside the barn-themed restaurant, characterized by its lofty ceilings and expansive windows. After ceasing operations, most Red Barn buildings found new purposes. Some of the chain's restaurants were rebranded as The Farm in different states, maintaining the same beloved menu items from their Red Barn days. Established in 1954, it was the pioneering pizza franchise in the U.S. Shakey's offered the usual pizza varieties, cheese, sausage, pepperoni, alongside unconventional toppings like shrimp, oysters, and anchovies. Customers enjoyed silent movies while eating their pizza, with live piano music adding to the ambiance. In 1974, the restaurant chain had approximately 500 stores throughout the United States. For sure, it was a cherished destination for families and friends to gather. And I almost forgot, the fried chicken and mojo potatoes were great also. Well, Shakey's underwent ownership changes in 1967, leading to expansion in Canada and Asia. However, by the 1980s, many of the 500 U.S. branches shuttered. Today, Shakey's remains a favorite with over 150 locations in the U.S. and retains its popularity in countries like Japan and the Philippines. Established in 1966, Steak and Ale quickly became a go-to destination for steak lovers across the United States. With its affordable prices and decent food quality, Steak and Ale was also known for its wide selection of sides, including loaded baked potatoes, fresh salads, and seasonal vegetables. The restaurant's cozy atmosphere, with rustic decor and a lounge featuring a fireplace and overstuffed leather chairs and sofas, made it an ideal spot for family gatherings and dinners. Throughout the 1970s and 1980s, Steak and Ale expanded its presence, opening numerous branches nationwide. However, despite its initial success, Steak and Ale faced challenges in the following years. Changes in consumer preferences and increasing competition in the restaurant industry led to the closure of several branches. Nevertheless, the legacy of Steak and Ale lives on, with some locations still operating and continuing to serve delicious and memorable meals to loyal customers.